Now, Young Thug's latest mixtape, The Jail Call Leaks, has went platinum in the streets on social media. And with all that's being said, one of the hottest conversations about this is surrounding QCP. Now, Wack 100 is somebody who actually is down with QCP, and he's been defending QCP at all costs ever since his back and forth with Pee Wee Roscoe. Now, Pee Wee Roscoe brought up another individual's name, Lil Woody, or some of y'all call him YSL Woody. And this conversation about QCP would not only be talked about by Wack 100, but it's also being talked about by Lil Woody. Now, while Wack 100 is defending QCP and QCP is saying that he's a civilian, Lil Woody had a different take on this civilian claim that QCP is making. Now, with that being said, some of y'all might still be confused, and how did we get here? So I'm gonna give y'all a small recap.
It was 8:45 p.m. when an off-duty officer working at the Lenox Mall in Atlanta advised over the radio he was with a man who stated a black man named Keon was leaving the mall in a brown tinted four-door and that Keon was wanted for murder. The vehicle was pulled over with two men and a woman inside, with the front passenger being identified as Interior's Keon McClinton. The investigator arrived at the mall where the call originated and met with Pierre Thomas, who's more commonly known as P, the CEO of Quality Control Music. P stated to the investigator he was at the mall when he recognized the man he knew as Keon. P told the investigator Keon was the same man who previously shot him and killed his friend, which led to the warrant for murder. P would continue by telling the investigator he confronted Keon, even chasing him to his vehicle where Keon grabbed a handgun. That's when P would run for the mall as Keon chased behind him saying, "I'm gonna kill you." P would state he was in fear for his life, hid in the mall, and came back out to see Keon was leaving the area. P would also provide a written statement.
So we got QCP actually talking to the police. We got QCP actually giving a description of the car that an individual was driving. Somebody who allegedly had basically ran up in the spot where him and his homeboy was at, knocked his homeboy down and put one in him too. As well as at this point, he's about to give a written statement to authorities. Now keep in mind though, P is stating that he was a civilian at the time of this incident.
According to the written statement, Pierre listed himself as a victim or witness and wrote, "I confronted him about murder and chased him to the car. He got a pistol and chased me in the mall, threatening to kill me." The officer would write, "How do you know the subject?" And P would answer, "He shot me and killed my friend." The officer then asked, "What type of gun was it?" And P answered, "A black handgun." On a second piece of paper, the officer would ask, "Did he make any comments?" And P would write, "I'm gonna kill you."
Now, for most people, that would be enough to say that, this dude is telling, he's snitching, he's writing. But again, like I said, he's maintaining that he was a civilian. Now, many people have questioned if he was a civilian or not. Some people pointing to the fact that P possibly was in the game hustling during the time and the individual came in there trying to rob them for that work.
Keon would be indicted on charges of aggravated assault and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony for allegedly pointing a handgun and threatening Pierre Thomas. Within the witness list, P would be the only civilian listed, and his statement would be the only evidence against Keon. Keon would be indicted on 7 new charges. The state would allege that on December 8th, 2009, Pierre Thomas, or P, went over to an apartment complex belonging to Karan Dennis. P had intended on playing Xbox and betting on a basketball game within the apartment that was said to be a marijuana trap house. While at the apartment, a man that evidence later identified as Keon arrived looking for the apartment owner Karan, who was outside walking the dog. P told Keon to come back a little later. Karan would make his way back to the apartment, and not long after, Keon would arrive looking to buy marijuana. When Karan went to get it, Keon was said to have opened fire, shooting Karan multiple times before firing at P. P would run for the sliding glass door, making his way 2 apartments over, where he told the tenant he'd been shot and to call the police. Karan would die from his injuries, and investigators would determine it to be a murder robbery.
Even when I was in the game, I had homeboys that wasn't in the game, and they would stop by the crib or even sit in a spot with me just because we was blowing some gas or whatever we was doing, right? So just because P was at this spot don't automatically mean that P was over there hustling, trapping, and moving the weed or whatever. I'm not saying he was. I'm not saying that he wasn't. I'm just giving a different perspective for you to look at it. So like I said, P is stating that he's a civilian, but let's keep going.
P provided them with a description stating the suspect was approximately 6 feet tall, 200 pounds with a mohawk, and a possible tattoo on his face. And P would occasionally relay information to the police about stuff that he had heard on the street or who he heard might have been responsible for killing his friend. A few more months went by, and P provided information to the police that he had heard that the suspect goes by the name Stunner, and he'd previously been shot in a club. Looking into the nickname, police were able to identify Keon as having used that nickname and having been a shooting victim. 5 months had now passed since P had been shot, and with a new photo lineup presented, P was able to positively identify Keon, or Stunner, as the man who shot him and killed his friend. Police believed it was apparent P had seen a photograph of Stunner prior to viewing the lineup. Because of the positive identification, the warrant for murder went out, and 3 weeks after, P would confront Stunner in the mall before running for his life. Stunner would be re-indicted, now facing a total of 10 charges, including murder, 2 felony murders, and 2 aggravated assaults. All charges would stem from the 2 incidents involving P, the initial shooting at the apartment, and the mall confrontation. Pierre would be notified by the prosecutors of the negotiations that had been agreed to, and Stunner would be sentenced to 20 years in state prison, with 10 to serve, and the remainder to be served on probation.
So that's where all of this stems from. What Young Thug is saying about him, what 21 Savage said, and even the conversation that Wack is having, as well as the conversation Pee Wee Roscoe and Lil Woody is having. Like, all of this stems around this particular incident, or these 2 incidents with Pierre Thomas, aka QCP, actually talking to the police, writing a statement, as well as everything else that was revealed in this video by 1090 Jake. Now, there was a plot twist towards the end of this. They ended up dropping the body charges on Stunner, but he also received 20 years for all the rest of the charges that they convicted him of. Now, after doing about 10 years, he was released on parole, and this happened.
Early after 8 o'clock this morning, officers respond to a person shot. When they arrived, they located one black male in his late 30s, deceased from several gunshot wounds. They were able to locate certain items of evidence.
Now, Wack 100 would call up to DJ Academic's podcast last night, and he would say some things about this whole entire situation. Because, see, like, Wack has a close relationship with QCP. He calls him his brother. And even when the video that I just reacted to came out, he took issue with 1090 Jake on calling P out for basically ratting. But in his latest call with DJ Academics, Wack 100 would state that it was Roscoe, Pee Wee Roscoe's fault that all of this started in the first place.
But that's on him. He sent Roscoe to speak for him. Roscoe got disrespectful towards niggas. So now it is what it is. He did this shit.
I definitely gotta hit what do you call it again? I gotta hit Roscoe and see if what he want to say.
He probably been silenced. He been running around trying to apologize already to niggas.
Really?
It's a fact. Dude kicked it on, and then he disrespected my brother. As soon as he disrespected P, you heard me tell him, "Oh, nigga, you want to play like that? It's on."
Now, during the conversation between Academics, Pee Wee Roscoe, and Wack 100, it did get turned up to the point where Wack began to tell Pee Wee Roscoe that he was about to go in on Young Thug over some of the allegations that he was making towards QCP. Now, in the next clip that I'm about to play, Wack 100 is going to further state that QCP is a civilian and is free to do whatever he wants to do in these type of situations, even though, like I'm telling y'all, people have been said that he was not a civilian during that time. I don't know because I'm not from Atlanta, but people on social media has claimed that he's lying about being a civilian. But check out what Wack had to say.
So people are saying, here's the difference. They're saying the P stuff or whatever, somebody went to jail behind that, and Thug never put nobody in jail, so Thug ain't a rat.
Ain't no difference. Listen, first of all, P is civilian. He can do it how he want to do it.
Now, if in fact P had nothing to do with the streets, if P wasn't dealing with no gang activity, not hustling in the streets, getting money in the streets or whatever, if he just was operating as a businessman, if he was flipping houses, investment properties, rental properties, running a nightclub or a restaurant or whatever P had going on at the time, he would definitely be considered a civilian and free to do whatever he wants to. And as far as I'm concerned, even if he was in the streets, he was free to do whatever he wants to. Because at the end of the day, at my age, again, and I've been saying this a lot, I'm not trying to hold anybody to any type of street code or convict somebody of being a rat or a snitch. I'm only talking about it for the sole purpose of content. But at the end of the day, Wack 100 would be asked by DJ Academics, what could make all this go away? Because a lot of people is just like, at some point, they all from Atlanta. The conversation was like behind the scenes. So, it ain't like people don't have these type of conversations about other individuals that they haven't heard. Your best friend is probably on the phone talking about you to your other friend right now. But he would ask Wack, what would it take for them to actually just let this stuff go and move forward?
If Thug come out on the interview and said, yo, you know what? I forgive Gunna. He ain't a snitch no more, but I ain't a snitch.
Don't care about none of that, nigga, because it's fake. You only doing it because your career is over. We don't give a fuck about none of that. We don't give a fuck about none of that. All I give a fuck, nigga, just like he gave Glorilla a public apology, issue QCP an apology. Then I stop. Until then, it's up. Nigga, I got 5 different motherfucking faucets on his ass. It's coming. I'm telling you it's coming. It's gonna keep dropping. Nigga, you should have disrespected, bro. I ain't going for it. Whatever come with it, come with it. That nigga's a rapper. That's all dude is.
So it's no way we could just erase Thug and
you can't erase, he's a rat.
Now for Wack 100, it looks like the only way that this is going to end between him, Young Thug, and whoever Wack is stating that he has putting out this audio is if he comes on a public platform and apologizes to QCP, which I doubt if that ever happens. Like, I could see behind the scenes somebody, contacting somebody and maybe them two getting on the phone and them squashing it, but I honestly don't see him making a public apology. I think the only reason why he made the public apology to Glorilla is because she kind of took a stray and he possibly really didn't mean what he said about it. Again, this is all private conversations. It's when we talk about people in jail calls, first and foremost, you ain't got really too much to talk about, so you got to make things up to talk about. Plus, the man is going through a whole case now. Do I agree what he was saying about people? No. Do I really care? Not really, but I do think it's interesting to finally hear how he really feels about certain people, because we were all speculating how he felt. And I do believe that we got some mixed messages from people surrounding Young Thug about how he actually felt. Now, all of this stuff about QCP and all of these other people, I'm surprised to hear about him saying certain stuff about him, like Dirk and Lil Baby and other people, Andre 3000, we got J. Cole, audio. It's just endless. He was in there talking about everybody. And what I come to realize is that he's a chatty patty as well. He should have a YouTube channel. But with that being said, though, Lil Woody, a.k.a. YSL Woody, would be asked about this whole civilian conversation.
QCP responded. He stated that he's a civilian.
First of all, let's kill that I'm a civilian shit. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That civilian giving people a passage to think it's okay to do this. It's not okay to tell at all. If you're a person that, want to be a part of the streets at any point, it's not okay to tell. So with QCP, I ain't got nothing against nothing he said. I'm not defending him either. But the truth of the matter is, why y'all bringing that man's name up? That man got nothing to do with y'all. Y'all hating on that nigga for what reason? I say that civilian stuff not to diss him or to say that, but I'm hearing a lot of people saying that civilian stuff a lot lately. What does civilians are getting hit in the head with bullets because of you feel what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, if you're in the streets, you're in the streets. You can't be it is what it is.
I ain't calling a nigga snitch, none of that, because I gotta clarify that because I know how the internet take things.
Yeah.
And man, I really don't want to speak on him. You feel what I'm saying? Because I don't. No, but I just don't like when people quit to say they're a civilian. You feel what I'm saying? Nah, you're a man.
ultimately, when he's saying it, right, and the better terminology would be man. But he's not involved in any bullshit anymore. At the end of the day, he's not focused.
You don't know what he involved in.
Yeah.
I'm from Atlanta.
But I mean, that's his claim, right?
I'm from Atlanta, nigga. You feel what I'm saying? I'm from Atlanta.
I hear what you're
So you
saying.
gonna fool me.
I hear what you're saying.
And I ain't gonna get on here and pretend.
That shit was a little convenient though. He said, hey, I got nothing to do with this.
Yeah, you don't got nothing to do with this. But at the end of the day, you can't.
Not a civilian.
You can't. Because listen, man, I want people to know, man. If you're gonna be real, you gotta be real all the way around the board. Some stuff took place that shit never took place after the fact.
Right.
If that never took place, okay, cool, you're a civilian. But due to the fact, you know what I mean? But look, I got no business even speaking on this.
Right,
It ain't
right.
even my business. But I just said that because how the hell can I speak on something that I should not know nothing about? Street niggas talk too much.
So leaving that clip, and y'all can go to the Denzel Project and watch the full clip because we did cut it up to make it short so the video wouldn't be too long. So y'all can get a full understanding of what YSL Woody is saying. But from what I heard was that he has an issue with people stating that they civilians when it comes to conversations like this, as well as it seems like he alluded to there were some things that took place that wouldn't classify QCP as a civilian, especially whatever took place afterwards. But hey, listen, I'm not here to be a detective. I'm not here to do nothing crazy or say nothing crazy. I'm only here to provide the conversational piece. And in my mind, it just seems like there was some things going on with QCP that may not put him in the civilian category, but I can't say for certain that QCP was not a civilian during this incident, during the time that this happened. But with all of that's being said it's like, man, there's so much paperwork out here on so many people, so many different statements, so much smut, so many people that snake people. Like, I believe that if we keep going down this road, man, it's only going to be a few of us still standing. I know for myself, I've never went to testify on nobody. I've never written a statement on nobody. I've never sent anybody to jail. Nobody ever went to jail because of me. At the end of the day, some people have never been in those situations or running around saying that they wouldn't tell. Well, how would you know if you've never been facing those federal charges, those federal RICO charges, those 20 years or whatever? You've never been put in a situation to the point where you would tell. So to say that you wouldn't do what somebody else would do and you've never even been in the streets is an unfair conversation. That's why I have a problem with people like Flacco going so hard on individuals in these situations, because he don't have a street bone in his body, but yet and still he want to call people rats and snitches when he's never even been involved in that walk of life. See, the difference between people like him and me is that I've actually walked that walk. I've actually walked that life. I've actually been around the block a few different times. I've actually served a couple prison terms. So I have the right to talk about stuff like this, but I don't give my opinion about people being snitches unless I see paperwork and can read it myself. As far as the QCP situation, if he was a civilian, then no, he definitely wasn't a snitch. But if he was in the streets hustling at the time of these incidents where he's giving up this information, he's definitely a rat. And some people is going to say that QCP is using that I was a civilian card to get out of being accused of being a snitch. But with the type of money that QCP got, I highly doubt if he even give a damn about how anybody is feeling, whether he was in the streets or not at the time. So salute to him in that bag. But get in the comment section and let me know what y'all think about this, man. Y'all already know what it is. Ruler Gang.